Okay, hello class. My name is Richard Music, and I am focusing my case study on the second objective, which aims to explore American efforts to develop morally and socially responsible scientific and technological advancements. However, in my case, I will be discussing the suppression of electric vehicles. Okay, electric vehicles. They've existed for over 100 years. Originally invented by Thomas Parker in 1884, uh, by 1900, approximately 38% of cars on the roads were electric, and only 22% of cars on the roads were gas powered. During this era, the electric car was seen as an ideal form of transportation due to the fact that society has already heavily relied on electricity. So why is it taking so long for electric vehicles to advance? Well, in 1920s, combustion engines significantly improved, including lower cost to mass produce compared to battery-powered cars, limitations of technology, and low sales caused a decline in electric vehicles. Limitations on technology, meaning the average person was not aware of how to maintain and use the cars properly. So along with highway systems advancing, people wanted to own their own car rather than wanting to adapt. I can relate this somewhat to Fukuyama's quote in one of his readings we had. We may regret getting what we want. And I'll tie that in later on. So, the Pacific Electric Systems Company produced trams and electric trolleys, but was bought out and dismantled by oil and motor companies. In 1946, it was revealed that National City Lines, a front company for General Motors, Firestone, Phillips Petroleum, and Standard Oil of California, also known as Chevron now, was behind the buyout. After this, electric trams were basically dismantled and bus systems were implemented for mass transit. So after this, the U.S. government convicted them of attempting to monopolize the public transit industry. Moving on. However, a man named Edwin Quinby, founder of Electric Railroaders Association, Quinby claimed those companies were actually trying to destroy electric streetcars to force Americans into automobile dependency. So I can ask a question, moral and social responsibility of technological advancements are ignored by the oil and motor companies. Looking at these actions in the early stages of the electric car, um, we can say that the motor and oil industries were looking, or we can ask, were they looking at the best interests of the public, or were they looking out for themselves? Um, so moving forward to the 1990s, California passed zero emissions mandate, which required 10% of all vehicle sales to fall under zero emissions by 2003. In 2001, GM sued Air Resources Board for the mandate on the premise there was no consumer demand for electric vehicles. Um, However, in a 2006 documentary, claims that the lack of demand was due to a lack of advertisement of low emissions vehicles by car companies. GM actually used to lease electric vehicles to customers until 1999, when there was a recall, um, and when customers offered to buy them out, the company declined and simply recalled them. The manufacturers of the batteries that powered these vehicles were told to not announce the fact that they invented a rechargeable battery to match the speed and range of a conventional engine. And that seems odd. Um, Although the technology was advancing, oil companies perceived it as a threat to their market of gas-powered vehicles and pressured motor companies. So, in light of what oil and motor companies have been involved in since the 20th century, points towards their attempts to suppress electric-powered vehicles. These companies have taken steps away from developing morally and socially responsible technological advances in pursuit of money and to remain in power. Their wrongly justified actions have hindered the process of adapting to a better, more efficient technology. So what should be happening is the need for industry and government in power to take steps to further technological advancements, not to hinder it. The need for industry and government to see the betterment of society is more important than their own success. So to wrap it up, the culture we live in and the technology we use are constantly shaping and being shaped by one another. An example of this is cars. Essentially, they created suburbs, allowing us to have easy access to leave the city, to take a short 30-minute drive outside the city to your home. You know, so adapting infrastructure takes time and effort, but it is definitely necessary. Um, Charging stations that Tesla nowadays is implementing, they're found all over the country. They're here at NGIT. You can charge your Tesla here in the parking deck for free, I believe. Um, so are oil and motor companies considering the moral and social responsibilities regarding the public to ensure a better future?